Good afternoon, and welcome to True Doug Man Encounters. I'm your host, Marvin Allen. First and foremost, I would like to say to everyone, I hope that all of you are healthy and are doing okay, you and your loved ones. And I would like to tell y'all, I love and miss y'all so much, so much. Like I said, man, y'all keep me going. Y'all are the ones that make me want to find out what, not just this cryptid, but other cryptids. What are they? How did they get here? You know, I want to find out all these things. Where do they live? Because the only thing now, we just assume. We assume that this thing live here. We assume that this thing live here. We don't really know that. Because I don't know nobody that really been into their dwelling. At least I don't, you know. And if they did, you know, I need proof, you know what I mean? Because a person can say anything, you know, prove to me, you know. Or just tell me, point me in the right directions to where the proof is or where the proof lies. And I can get it myself, you know. But another thing, I hope everybody is taking this coronavirus seriously and doing their part as far as, you know, staying home and not going out because you don't know who has it. You know, I don't want nobody to get it, you know, but a lot of people, some people just don't listen. You know, and my heart goes out to all the ones that did contract it and lost loved ones. So please, just do what you have to do. You know, me, myself, I like to be out, you know, talking to people and stuff like that. But this give me a time to sit back and evaluate and find out all the things that I'm doing wrong. And, you know, and how can I make my situation better? You know, I want to go back out in the field. I want to do all those things, you know. But I do believe that everything in life happens for a reason. That's my belief. That might not be your belief, but that's mine. I believe everything in life happened for a reason. You know, so if I had to sit, then I had to sit. But I have all of you that keep me going. That's why I love y'all so much. I really do. I love all y'all from the bottom of my heart. And sometimes, man, I get emotional. Because y'all make me feel so good. Just by the comments that y'all write. You know, like I said, man, I'm not looking and doing this for no likes and all that. You know what I mean? If I get them, it's fine. You know, I know we got a good channel. I know that. And I know I'm good at what I do. That part I do know. And I do believe that one day our channel gonna be number one. Might take a little time, but it's gonna be number one. Once I get everything that I need, we gonna be number one. Bet and believe. We gonna do it. As you notice, I ain't saying me, I'm saying we. Cause y'all are my family too, my extended family. So we gonna do this together. I can't do it without y'all. I need y'all. I need all of y'all. I can't do it by myself. So please, do your part. If you gotta stay in, stay in. If you don't have to go out, don't go out. Unless it's for medicine or food or to walk your dog or exercise or whatever, and then go back in the house. Man, I love y'all so much. I really do. Just like my family. Y'all are all my family. Because I can text y'all and tell y'all what's going on with me. To tell y'all what's going on in my life. And you will listen. Y'all have gave me some good advice. Far as how I should number my encounters and give it a title and all that stuff. man, y'all have gave me some good advice. And it's true. I don't know a lot about this computer stuff, but so many of y'all have reached out and said, Marvin, if you need any help, just ask me. And man, that touched me from the bottom of my heart. That means so much to me. It really do. It really do. That's why I believe in due time, we're going to be number one. Trust and believe. We're going to be number one. So without further ado, we're going to jump right to this first encounter. Now, in this first encounter, I didn't get the location, so I wasn't really worried about that. Oh, before I get into it, I had this encounter for a while, man. 18 months, 2 years, tops. And when I was going through my, my encounters, I was looking, I'm like, oh. And I was, reading through it. I was like, man, I've been had this. But I never told it. I don't know why. You know what I mean? But I'm getting around to it. So I'm going to share with y'all what was shared with me. And it's kind of long, and I'm glad that it's kind of long because that'll give y'all something, to sit back, reflect, and listen to. So again, without further ado, let's jump right into this first encounter. Now, like I said, this first encounter, it came from a lady, like I said, the location and everything. I don't have no location. But anyway, this lady said one day she was looking through the paper and she came across an ad where there was a woman who was trying to rent a room out. And at that time, she said she was staying with her mother, her and her daughter. So her mom said that, baby, you don't have to leave. You can stay here as long as you want. And she said, I know, but I think it's time that I move on, me and Bree, so I can try to get my own place. So my daughter I have her own room. So her mom said, okay, if that's what you're going to do, then I support you 100% in your decision. So she told her mothers that she was going to drive out there, since it was still early. So she drove out there, she said, because it was, quite far out. It was a few hour drive, So she said when she got there, she just sat in the driveway. And she looking around because she said it was beautiful, because it was the only house there. And it was just surrounded by nothing but woods. But she thought that, it was just beautiful. So she said she sat there for about 5 minutes, just looking around, taking in the scenery, looking at the wildlife. Then she got out and she went up and she knocked on the door. She said when she was about to knock again, she heard this voice say, "Who is that?" And she said, "Oh, it's the lady about the ad that you put in the paper about that you renting a room out." So the voice on the other side of the door said, "Just give me a minute." After a few seconds, then she opened the door. She invited her in, and said, please, come and sit down. So they talked about the ad that she placed in the paper. And the old lady, who her name I'm going to use is Miss May, said that she been living there for a long time by herself, and she just decided one day, that she would put an ad in the paper to see if she could get somebody to move in with her, so she won't feel alone, so she won't be there by herself. So she then asked her, "Will you be moving in alone?" She said, "No, I have a daughter." will that be a problem? And the lady paused for a few, and she thought that was kind of odd. And then Miss May said, no, it won't be a problem. So Miss May said, come on, let me show you the whole house. So Miss May showed her the whole house and, the room that they would be staying in. Then she said, come on, I want to show you out back. So, took her out back and she showed her. And she was looking around. It was like, it was breathtaking. She said, you have a beautiful home and you have a lot of land here. She said, I know my parents owned this land for a long time in this house, so it was, passed down through generations and now it's mine, and it's the original house. So she went back in the house and she asked her, she said, Miss May said, when will you be moving in? She said, this week, if it's fine with you. And Miss May said, sure, no problem. So later that week, her and her daughter, whose name I'm going to use is Bree, was settled in their new, their new home. Even though they just had that one room, it was a nice sized room. I mean, it had a lot of space in it, she said. So wasn't no little small closet room, It was just, a nice sized room. So when they had settled in, they set up, for a while that night. They said talking. And she said at about 11, Miss May said she was getting ready, go lay down, that they could sit up, watch TV for as long as they want. But she told Bree, she said, Bree, I think, we should go ahead and get some rest and lay down, So they went in the room, laid down, and they went to sleep. The next morning, got up, Miss May made them breakfast, and they all went into the front room and sat down and talked. Bree, because, she's still young, she a kid, she watched it, TV. So about 11:30 going on 12 o'clock, she said Miss May had made them some lunch, So they sat down, and they ate lunch. After they ate lunch, she helped Miss May, wash the dishes and, help clean up, because she wanted to pull her weight too. She wanted to help out. She ain't want to just have this lady who was up in age do everything, so she helped her out. And after everything was done, her and her daughter Bree decided to go, to go out back. Now she said out back, Miss May had this old table, that sat out back. So she said, Bree, I'm going to sit right here. She said, just don't go too far. Just be where I could see you. And she said, she glad that it had a lot of room out there because Bree she was still a kid, and they gave her time, just to run around, to have fun, and, and to be a kid. So she said she sat down there at the table and Bree just, running around, playing, picking up sticks, digging in the dirt, stuff like that. She said, but while she was just, sitting there, she said she would notice that Bree would often stop and just look straight up into the woods. And she said she didn't know why, but she said Bree would constantly do this. Then she thought, oh, well, maybe she sees some kind of animal or something. She didn't know at the time, so she, she brushed it off. She said, but Bree kept doing this over and over and over again. And she thinking, well, what do she see? And she looking herself, but she don't see nothing. So she pays it no attention. So she said that this last time that Bree did it, Bree stopped. She looked up in the woods. She said Bree had this stick in her hand that she was, swiping at the, at the grass with and digging in the dirt. She said Bree dropped the stick and just started staring right up in the tree line, right up in the woods. And she's sitting there and she's watching her daughter look. So she said she gets up. And when she gets up, she walks over there to where Bree is. And she placed her hand on her shoulder. And she said, baby. And she said Bree turned around and looked at her mother. Her mother said, baby, what's wrong? And Bree said, oh, nothing. I was just watching the Doug. And her mother said, what Doug? She said, the Doug that was up there. And her mother said, you sure it was the Doug? She said, yes, Mom. I know what a Doug looked like. I could see its pointy ears. And it had a black nose. I know what a Doug looked like. It was the Doug, Mom. And she said, where was it? She pointed. She said, right over there by those bushes. So now she curious because she looking at the bush. And she, in her mind, she could see these bushes. She said, bushes, it's kind of high. So she walks over there to where Bree pointed at, to these bushes. And she said she stood there. And she said, right here, baby? She said, yeah, right there, Mom. So she said she stood by this bush. Now, she said that she's 5'8", 5'9", 5'9", something like that, roughly. And she said to where Bree saw what she said was a Doug nose. She said it came up to just below her shoulder. So she said her eyes get big. She was like, oh my God, I hope she didn't see a bear. But the old lady had told her, wasn't no bears in this area. There was no bears. So now she's thinking, what could it be? Because this would be a really, really big Doug and it would be a problem. Now she messed up in the head because she's trying to think, what did Bree see? So she walked back down there to where Bree was and she asked her again. She said, Bree, is you sure, baby, that that's what it was? She said, Mom, I'm telling you, it was a Doug. She said, okay. So they turned and they left and they went back and, went in the house. So when she went in the house, she went to Miss May because Miss May had just poured some water in a cup, and she asked Miss May, she said, Miss May, do y'all have any Dougs around here? Because Bree said that she saw a Doug out back up in the woods by this bush. She said as soon as she said that, Miss May dropped the cup of water that she had in her hand. And, she said Miss May's eyes got, really big. And she said, are you okay, Miss May? And she said, yeah, it just slipped out my hand. So she told Miss May, she said, don't worry about that. I'll get it up and I'll clean it up. So after, she got it, got the water up out the floor and stuff like that, she went in there and she asked Miss May again. She said, Miss May, are you sure it's no bears around here in this area? She said, I told you, child, there's no bears in this area. If there were, I would tell you. She said, but Well, what about, this dog that Bree seen? He said, you sure that Bree didn't see no coyote out there? Because we got coyotes on this property. She said, Miss May, that this wasn't no coyote, I don't think. I seen coyotes, and I know they are not that big. And from where I stood at and where she said that she seen the nose of this Doug, it couldn't have been no coyote, because I know they don't get that big. And this had to be a really, really big Doug. So Miss May then said again, she said, well, I don't know, child. Just tell Bree to not to go up in the woods, to just stay out back, on that part of my land. And she said, why? So Miss May said, I have my reason. And at first, she said she didn't really pay that no attention, that part, until later, So everybody just went to, sat in the front room for the rest of that day. Miss May made dinner later on that day. They ate. They set up for a while. And then, they went on to go and lay down. So she said that night, when they was laying in the bed, she found herself, dozing off, going to sleep. So she said she goes to sleep. So she said something woke her. And she said when she woke up, she seen Bree over there looking out the window, looking out back. So she said she sat up in the bed. And she say, Bree, what's wrong, baby? What you doing? Why are you looking out the window? And she said, I'm watching those dogs. She said, there's two of them, man. So she said, the dogs, she said, they're out there? She said, yes, man, they are. So she say she gets up. She gets up and she walks over there to the window. Now, she said this night, the moon was out. So they said they could see. They could see real good. She said these two things was on all fours, running from the left to the right. The left to the right. She said they just kept doing this. Going side to side. Just running. She said, so while she watching these two Dougs, what she thinking they is at this time, run from left to right, she noticed that one was all black, and she said the other one was black, and it looked like it had like blotches of silver or white in it, from what she could see. But she said these things were really big to be running on all fours. So they just standing there and they still watching these creatures. So they said after these creatures was running back and forth, left to the right, for about 30 seconds, she said that's when they both stopped. She said they just stopped instantly. She said, and when they did that, she said that these large Dougs looked it straight over in their directions. Like they knew they was right there watching them. She said, and when they looked over there at them, she said these things had the biggest eyes that she ever saw in her life. She said she said the eyes was just big, you know. I'm talking about like a golf ball big, she said. She said, but they was just huge. She said, and they was just like the sun. They was just yellow. She said they was just bright. She said they lit up like a bulb. She said it's like they self-illuminated. She said because they just glowed. She said these things never blinked their eyes. They just looked it right at them. At the window like they knew they was right there. So she said after about another 15, 20 seconds, she said these two large doves, what they thought that's what they was at this time, turned and ran right back up into the tree line. So she told Bree, she said, come on, let's go over here, lay down, so we can get some sleep. So she said they finally went to sleep. And the next day, you know, they got up, you know, and, you know, Miss May did what she always do, got up. She made breakfast for them, you know, at the breakfast. She helped Miss May clean up and stuff, and she told Miss May that she would have to go to her mother's house, you know, in about an hour, you know, to pick up a few things. So after hours, that's what she did. Her and Bree rode out to her mother's house, you know, so she could grab a couple of things. And it was still early, so she wanted to do that part and, you know, just get that out the way. So she said on our way back, it wound up getting dark on her way back because she stayed longer than, you know, what she thought she was going to stay. So she said while she driving back, you know, home, she pulls up in, you know, up in the front yard. She said so when she pulls up in the front yard, she could see something out the left side of her eye running real fast. Like it's coming from the back of her towards the front of the house. She said, and when this thing do that, she said this thing stopped on a dime, on all fours. Now, mind you, she looks over at this thing. She said that's when this thing turned, it looked at her, and it started to walk towards her on all fours. She said this thing didn't stop at least 20 to 25 yards away from her. And it just stared right in her direction. Now, mind you, at this time, Bree is in the back seat, laying down. She's asleep. So she don't know what's going on. So she watching this thing on all fours look right at her with them bright yellow eyes. She then said what she saw next, it still haunts her to this day. It still gives her nightmares to this day. She said this thing did something with his body. It just messed her up in the head. She said this thing looked at like it was like it was stretching. Like it was stretching its body. She said, and after this thing did that, that's when this thing stood up on his back legs upright. She said this thing looked like a giant wolf. Said it had the pointy ears, the long snout. She said this thing had shoulders. Yes, she said this thing had shoulders, like a human. And she said this thing had some really, really, really long arms. She said, but messed her head up the most was that this thing had hands. She said this thing actually had hands. She said, but the legs on this thing was built like a dog. She said it had legs like a dog. She said she watching this creature. She said she watching this thing, and this thing just watching her. It's looking right at her. She's scared. But she don't want to make no move because she don't know what this thing gonna do. She's saying this thing was tall. She said this thing was just huge. So she said after about a minute, what seemed so longer than that, she seen the front light come on over top of the front door. That's when Miss May opened the door. Now listen to this. These are her words. She said Miss May opened the door and she could hear Miss May yell, "Get off my property." She said Miss May had a handgun in her hand. She yelled it again, "Get off of my property." She said she could see this creature look over at Miss May. And she said it looked into her like it was growling. She said, but she didn't hear nothing. But she said she could see this thing teeth. And she said these things was just long. She said they was just long. She said then Miss May pointed that handgun in the air. Boom, 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 shooting in the air. She said that's when this thing let out this loud growl, man, that shook her to her core. Now her daughter woke. She jumps up out the back seat because she hear those gunshots. Mom, what's wrong? What's wrong? Bree, it's okay. Lay back down, baby. Lay back down. Just put your head down. Told her daughter to put her head down. So as she said, after this thing made that loud growl, and she said she could feel that in her chest, she said it then turned. She said this thing leaped about 30 feet, and it took another leap, and it was just gone. She said it was just gone into the night. So Miss May walked over to the car and told them, come on, let's go ahead, let's go in the house. So when they got in the house, Bree went straight in the room and just laid down. She was just tired. She was exhausted. So she went in the front room and she sat down and she asked Miss May. She said, Miss May, what did I just see? What are those things? And Miss May said, I don't know what they are. She said, I know that these things showed up on my property about 8 years ago. She said, but I thought they left because I haven't seen them in the past year and a half. She said, well, why you didn't tell me this before I moved here? She said, I'm sorry. She said, but I thought that if I told you about them things that you wouldn't want to move in. Plus, they haven't been here in a year and a half. I thought they was gone. That's my only reason why I didn't tell you. She said, and I've been here alone by myself for so long. I just wanted some type of company. She said, well, you should have gave me that decision to make. You should have been upfront with me and honest with me about these things. So she said, from the bottom of my heart, I'm truly sorry. So she said, okay, I'm gonna just get ready and I'm gonna just go in here and lay down. So she said she get up, she go in the room, lay down, and get some sleep. Next day, get up, do the same routine, ate, they cleaned up. This day, all three of them went out back and they sat, And this time, when both of them was sitting out back at this table, they said Bree would do the same thing that she did the first time when it was just her and her mother out there. And she told Miss May, she said, see, Miss May, that's the same thing that Bree would do the first time she saw those things. So both of them watching Bree, they noticed how she would stop and then she would start playing again and then she would stop and she would start playing again. She kept doing this over and over continuously. So Miss May grabbed her handgun, she put it behind her back, and she walked towards down there where Bree was. When she walked down there towards where Bree was, Miss May said she didn't look up in the wood line yet. She just went over there and she stood in front of Bree. And she said, Bree, what you doing? So Bree said, she told Miss May, I can't see. And, Bree moved to the side and started looking up, to where she saw that, this thing at. But when she looked, it wasn't up there. The thing was gone. So Miss May turned around and she looked. She said, well, what are you was looking at? She said, I was looking at the Doug over there. But anyways, Miss May went back up there, sat back down. And she asked, she said, did you see anything? She said, no, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. When I turned around and looked up there, it was already gone or whatever. So she said they sat out there for a few more hours. When they went in the house, Miss May started, to sit down to make dinner. So that's what she did. She made dinner. They ate dinner. Then they sat in there and they watched the movie. After the movie, everybody decided, that they would just go ahead and go to bed. So the next day, she got up, took a shower, got herself together, and she asked Miss May. She said, Miss May, can you watch Bree while I go and see my mom? So she said, no problem, baby. I'll watch her. So that's what she did. But before she left, she told Bree, don't go out the house. Stay in here. And if it's May ask you to do something, you do it. Okay? She said, yes, mommy. So anyways, she said she went on to her mother's house. And she was sitting in there. She said her mother, was, talking so much that she looked at her watch. She noticed the time. She know that it's getting late. Because she said now she know it's getting ready to get pitch black dark. So she said, Ma, I gotta go. I'm trying to make it back to the house before it get too dark. So she said when she left out, it was still a little light out. But mind you, listen, she a few hours away that she got to drive. So she trying to make it. But she said she don't want to drive so fast where she get in an accident or something run in front of her car or she hit a deer or something. These are all the things that's going through her mind, what she thinking. So she want to take her time. She want to take it slow. But she want to get home before it get too late. So she said while she was driving, she said she wasn't that far from the house. She said she was about 5 miles away from home. So she said while she was driving, she said she sees something. She sees something just standing there. Yes, standing there in the road. So she slows down and then she puts on her brakes. She stopped and she looked. She said it's this creature. She said it's this huge wolf-like looking creature. She said she's scared now. She don't know what to do. She said she watching this thing. And she said, why is she watching this thing? She said this thing started to walk towards her car. And she said when this thing got there in her car, it stood at the front of her car. Now, mind you, she watching it. She said she looking up at this thing. Because that's how freaking tall this thing was. She said this thing was big. She said, so she looking up at this wolf-like looking thing. And it's looking down at her in her window. She said then this thing placed his hand on the hood of her car. She said then this thing took what she said. She said they looked at like long claws. And she said they was long. She said this thing started to tap on her hood. Dad, dad. Dad, dad. Dad, dad. She said then this thing really freaked her out. She said this thing walked around to her side of the car. Now, mind you, she said when she stopped her car in the road, she made sure that all her doors and windows were locked. She said when this thing got around to the side of her door, it looked down at her. She said she was so scared that she couldn't look up at this creature. She just looked it forward. She said then this thing tried to open her car door. She said now she getting really scared. Because she thinking in her mind now that if this thing wanted to, it could rip that whole door off. And she knew that if this thing wanted to get her, that it wasn't nothing that she could do. Because she said if it wanted to get in, she know it could get in. Because she see how massive this creature is. She said that this thing should not be here. She said this thing should not have hands. What is it? Is it a dog or is it a human? This is everything she said is going through her mind. This is everything. This is all the stuff she said she's thinking about while she's sitting there in that front seat. She shook to the core because she don't know what to do. She don't want to pick up her phone. She don't want to try to do nothing. because she do not know how this creature is going to react. So she said she just sat there. She said, and after that creature stopped jiggling her door, she said she looks out the corner of her eye. Because she said, it's like a part of her said, look at this thing. Look at this thing. She said, but she didn't. But she said she could see out the corner of her eye. She said it looked like this thing was smiling down at her. She said that's what it looked like to her. She said it looked like this thing was smiling down at her. So she said this creature then walked around to the other side on the passenger side door, and it started to jiggle that. He said now she's sitting in this front seat because she really freaked out now, thinking in her mind, how do this thing know how to open a door? How would this thing know how to do this stuff if it don't have some type of intelligence? These are her words. They not mine. The same way she gave it to me is the same way I'm giving it to y'all. She said that this thing had to have some type of intelligence to do these things. This lady's scared. She shook because she don't know if she gonna make it home to see her daughter Bree again. So she said this creature took a step back. She said then it kneeled over, like it bent over. And it looked in through that passenger window. And it's looking right at her. She said this time she turns and she looks at it. She said she turns and she looks at it. And she could see those bright, huge, yellow eyes. She said, and when she looking at this thing, she could see this thing breathe. Said every time it breathed, it seemed like its chest was getting bigger. She looking at it, and it looking at her. She said it's like a face-off. She said then she started to pray. Because she said that was her last resort. She didn't know what else to do. So she said she started to pray. And she said as she was praying, she could feel this sensation. She felt this overwhelming sensation that her prayers was being answered. Like she had a protector with her now. She said, and while she was praying, she said it's like this creature was getting mad because it knew. It knew what she was doing. It knew that whatever she was speaking, it was starting to work on it. Because he said this creature started to back up. It started to back up towards the tree line. It just kept backing up towards the tree line. Now she watching this creature. She said then this creature stood up. She said that when it stood up upright, she said this creature let out the awfulest sound she ever heard in her life. She said when it did that, this creature, it turned. She said she don't know how far this thing leaped. But it ain't just leaped to the tree line. She said this thing leaped in the tree line. And it just left. you know. Said she sat there for a few more seconds, and then she went back and she went to the house. She said when she got there, she told Miss May the next day, she said, Miss May, first and foremost, I want to thank you for letting me and Bree stay here, but I gotta go. I can't do this. I can't stay here knowing that them things, whatever they is out there, and I got a daughter here, and I seen this thing close up. If this thing wanted to get me, it coulda. These things are huge. And they are not dumb, they are intelligent. Some type of intelligence these things have. This thing tried to get in my car. Miss May, listen to me. This thing tried to get in my car. How would it know how to open the door if it didn't have some type of intelligence? This is what she telling Miss May. And Miss May said, baby, I understand everything. Do what you got to do. I can't get mad at you because I wasn't honest with you in the first place. So do what you have to do. So that week, and that's what she did. They packed up and they went back to stay with her mother. But she told Miss May, she said, Miss May, just because I'm leaving, don't think that I'm going to be a stranger and I would never come back, you know, and sit with you for a few hours, you know, and talk with you, you know, and she kept her word. That's what she said she did. She would go back every now and then and see Miss May. She said, but she would always go early, so when she leave, it was still a lot of daylight left. So she said after about a month after moving out, she went early. She didn't take Bree with her, but she went early to go see Miss May. So she said, you know, when she got there, you know, her and Miss May, you know, did what they did. They went out back and they said they were sitting at the table, you know, and they was talking, and she asked Miss May. She said, Miss May, look at me. She said, Miss May looked at her. She said, are those things still on your land? And Miss May said, yes. So she said, have you seen them? And she said, Miss May paused for a few. And then she breathed real heavy and she said about a week ago, you know, came down, you know, I went in there, fixed me something to eat, and I went in the front room, you know, I sat down and I was looking at TV. She said, and while I was looking at TV, I heard something bang on the side of the house. Boom, 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 boom. She said, so I got up. I grabbed my gun. I went to the front door. And I went out. And I walked round to the side of my house. She said, but when she walked round to the side of her house, she didn't see nothing. So she said she went back in the house. So she said later on that day, she said it happened again. She said she was laying down and she heard them bangs again. Boom, 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 boom. Banging on the side of the house. So she said she grabbed the gun again. And she went to the front door. Said she didn't see nothing. So she went to the back. She went to the back door. Said she had a little small window that sat on her back door where you can look outside. She said, so she looks out her window. She said, this night, you could see out there. She said, because the moon was bright. She said that when she looked out there, she saw one of them things standing upright, looking in her direction. She said it just stood there, looking at her. So she said she didn't know what to do. She said the one thing that she wasn't going to do was open that back door. She said she don't care how long it was staying out there. She wasn't opening her back door. So she said she watched that creature stand there for what seemed like hours. But she said it wasn't that long. She said she was only at that back door for about a minute and a half. She said then this creature she said it's like it moved so fast, it's like it vanished. She said that's how fast this creature moved. She said that's how fast this creature moved. She said it just left. So she said, is that the last time that you've seen it? She said, yeah, and I don't want to say it again. So she told Miss May, she getting ready to leave because, it was getting late and stuff like that. So, and it was still daylight outside. So she told Miss May, she'll be back again soon. So she said she left. She said, and when she left, she drove out. She was getting on the road. She said it was like when everything slowed down like a tunnel vision. And she said as she was driving up that road, she looked to her right. And she said when she looked to her right, she could see that black creature running. I mean, she said fast, running across Miss May's back property. And what it was running after, she said it was running after 2 deers that came across Miss May's back property. She said them deers was running for their life. And she said this thing was right on them. She said, and as she watching that, it's like everything slowed down. She said once they hit the tree line, and then that creature hit the tree line, it's like everything's just sped up, So she drove and went back home. And that was her encounter, that was her sighting. I just wanted to give y'all that, because to me, I liked it. I had it a long time and I just came across it. I just wanted to share that with y'all. Man, it's just amazing what these creatures can do and how these creatures can taunt a person. Because these creatures ain't dumb. They are intelligent, man. They not dumb, And another thing, I can't wait to get the rest of Ty J's story because, man, I know it's amazing. I know it's amazing, But the only thing I was scared of is that she took the baby down there. I'm not saying don't take the baby because that's her grandma. So your grandmother got to see the kid. But a part of me now is thinking did Ty J want to introduce her baby to these creatures? That's what I'm thinking. I could be wrong. I don't know. But that's what I'm thinking. But anyways, as always, like, comment. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, do so. Come on, do so. Let's make this channel #1. Might take time, but we can get there. We can get there. We can do it. We can have the #1 channel on YouTube. But like I said, it ain't just me. It's you too. It's all of us. We a family. You are my extended family now. And I love each and every one of you. Y'all keep me going and wanting to keep doing this. I want to find the answers, man. And it's so many answers. Put it this way. It's so many questions that people be having, man. But we have few answers. That's what we need. We need answers, man. We need proof. We need show enough proof. Hopefully, this lockdown will be over soon and I can get back out in the field with one of my field partners, because that's coming up soon whenever this is over. Because we need to find out what these things are, man. We need to find out what make these things do what they do. We need to find out all this stuff, man. What are they? We need to find that out. So, like I said, man, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go do so. Like, comment, tell me anything I can do. If anybody had any encounters and they want me to tell them, feel free to share them with me. And I would love to tell your encounter. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload this so y'all can go ahead and sit back and listen to that. Let me know how you like it, So, until next time, I'm going to let y'all go ahead and enjoy this encounter. Bye, everyone.